皆さんおはようございます。おはようございます。おはようございます。おはようございます。皆さんおはようございます。元気皆さん元気ですか？元気ですか？どうですか？元気どうですか？元気おはようございます。おはようございます。Good morning, everybody. Welcome to our Japanese classroom. 今回は3回目の日本語の教室なんです。3回目の日本語の教室です。3回目、3回目、3回目、3回目、1回、2回、3回、4回、5回、6回、1回、2回、3回、4回、5回、6回、1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10、1、2、3、4、5、6、7、8、9、10. Okay. 1回. So it's not 1回, it's 1回. So this is a little thing. We've already come across it in Nippon. I think we came across it in one other instance. 1回. We'll be seeing a lot of this where in katakana, in romaji, the consonant is doubled. 1回. So the first K, I, K, K, A, I, the first K would be just a glottal stop. You use your glottis or your throat to stop the sound. 1回. And then the second K represents the sound. So it's a full syllable. 1回. In romaji, it's represented by a double consonant. As we're learning hiragana, you will note that it's represented by a lowercase letter, a subscript letter. I think I mentioned H2O before. The tsu sound, tsu, we'll be looking at tsu in just a minute. The tsu letter will be written smaller and lower than the rest of the letters. So 1回. We'll get to this eventually, probably not today, although I'll bring it up. So, もう一度、おはようございます。おはようございます。日本語の教室にようこそ。3回目の教室なんですが、3回目、3回目、1回、2回、3回、3回目、3回目の教室です。3回目で、おはようございます。おはようございます。which is, of course, good morning. Good morning. おはようございます。Good morning. はい。こんにちは。Okay. I made this slide at a different time. It's currently 6:40 in the morning here, and I don't feel comfortable saying こんにちは at this hour of the morning. I want to say おはようございます。おはようございます。And I'll give you a list of 挨拶. Aisatsu are greetings. We'll have the morning greeting, the daytime greeting, which you've already seen, こんにちは, evening greetings, a variety of greetings that I will give to you. Okay, so こんにちは, おはようございます. We now have 2 greetings under our belt. We have the particles no and wa. And now we're going to learn some new words. I said to you in my opening greeting, I said, genki, genki, genki. That means, are you healthy? Are you happy? Genki is to really be genki, 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 genki. When we're doing a presentation like this, I may get a little bit dull and boring, and you'd say, もう少し元気のように出してください。まあ元気にしなさい。元気にしなさい。元気、元気。And then if you're asking, genki, are you healthy? Genki. Now this is only between friends. If you said this to your teacher, it would be quite rude. When you're saying it to your friends, it's very friendly. It's nice. Now your teacher can say it to you. Your teacher isn't being disrespectful of you. He's treating you like his students because there's this whole up-down culture in Japan, which I believe you have here in India as well. But anyway, so me as a teacher, I'm taking you into my arms and embracing you by saying genki. I'm really being the father figure to you. I'm not being condescending, was the word I was looking for earlier. Genki, genki desu ka? Minasan genki desu ka? Genki desu ka? Genki desu ka? Genki desu ka? Minasan genki desu ka? Notice that I'm saying minasan, minasan. Minasan means everybody. It has the honorific san on it. Today we're going to learn a little bit of honorifics if I get to it. I tend to be more chatty than I plan, so I don't get quite as far in the class as I plan to. We're going to pick up today where we left off yesterday. We'll do a short review. Anyway, minasan is just a way of saying everybody. Minasan genki desu ka? Genki desu ka? Notice in the slide here, I've written o genki desu ka? O genki desu ka? O is another honorific, which we're going to take up today. We're going to review the hiragana, a, I, u, e, o. And as part of our review, we're going to introduce honorifics for the o genki. That's the last slide we'll get to today. So if we don't do it today, we'll do it in the next class. Okay? 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか？前回のレッスンはどうでしたか？前回のレッスンはどうでしたか？ Can you say it at that speed? 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか? Probably not at this stage. You want to know each one of these meanings. 前回, I already told you 1回、2回、3回、4回、5回, etc. Okay? 前回 is the last time's lesson. Last time's lesson. We have the no there. 前回のレッスン、レッスン、レッスン、レッスン. So, let me give you a test. 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか? What do you think? Which alphabet is going to be used to write レッスン? 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか? Katakana, right? Because it's the English word lesson. I told you in the first class that Japanese has more loan words than any language in the world. And in the 20th century, there was just a rush of English words entering the language. Excuse me. And all early in the morning still. All the modern technologies use English words. The older technologies, such as the telephone, use Chinese. Denwa, denwa. Denwa is telephone. Now, a mobile phone is also a denwa. It's a keitai denwa. Keitai means portable. Keitai denwa. But a smartphone, the English term became very popular in Japan. Smartphone, smartphone. Now look at hon, hon. You saw the ha, he, hu, he, ho. I told you that the hu is often written with an F, as in Fuji-san, Fuji-san. But the other ones are ha, he, hu, he, ho, and they're pronounced ha, he, hu, he, ho. So the Japanese don't say phone, they say hon, smartphone, smartphone. Now, another interesting thing about Japanese really take foreign words and make them their own, unrecognizable to the native speaker of the language that loaned them the word. So, smartphone, you can kind of hear the origins of smartphone, smartphone, but everybody says smaho, smaho. So they go su-ma-ho. So it's 3 letters, su-ma-ho, smaho, smaho. And that's now the popular term for a smartphone. But I have a sneaking suspicion, I haven't spent much time in Japan in recent years. I have a sneaking suspicion that denwa is still the most popular. Although when the cell phone first came out, everybody was referring to it as a keitai. Not a keitai denwa, but as a keitai. Keitai denwa, denwa. So just that technical evolution. You'll see some Chinese technical terms, and you'll see other English technical terms. And there's another interesting phenomenon, which is reverse loan words. The Japanese, especially during the Meiji Reformation, the Meiji Reformation, of course, was at the end of the 19th century. And so many Western ideas were pouring into Japan. And at that time, they decided to take their knowledge of Chinese, of kanji, and coin new words to handle these new concepts. For example, the word for economy. Economy just wasn't something that they were talking about in pre-Meiji Japan. So they came up with a word called keizai, keizai. And that keizai actually was re-imported into China, and the Chinese say jingji. So they take their own pronunciation, but it was a word that was not originally in Chinese. So they borrowed it from the Japanese. This is a kind of reverse. So languages are just fascinating. One of my key peeves is that we talk about the origin of languages. I personally think that languages are so fluid and come from so many different directions that you really can't pinpoint an origin. We can see similarities. I can hear a word and I immediately know, for example, I'm trying to learn Hindi right now, and I learned the word for kitab. I think it was kitab. Book, right? Kitab. And I thought, that doesn't sound Indian. That doesn't sound Sanskrit. I'll bet it's Arabic. And I looked it up, and sure enough, it was. So we do know that languages have origins, and we talk about the Indo-European family of languages. But they mutually influence each other. So it's really difficult, in my opinion, to pinpoint one language origin. Okay, I'll get off my my pedestal or whatever, and go back to teaching you Japanese. And the impetus for that little tirade was dessun, 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 dessun. 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか? どうでしたか? Do is a word that I want you to get to using. It's a question word, and it means how. How? How was it? How was it? How was the last lesson? 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか? 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか? So the English sentence starts with how. The Japanese sentence starts with last time's lesson, and then we have the topic marker here. 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか? Deshita is the past tense of des. And I think we'll get into that today as well. We're going to start to learn a little bit about verbs. So, how was? 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか? And then the ka is a particle which is just used for asking questions. We saw that above. 元気ですか? So now we know 1, 2, 3, and 3, 1, 2, yeah, only 3 particles. Okay. No, wa, and ka. 前回のレッスンは I've written it with WA rather than HA. どうでしたか? はい。じゃあどうでしたか? 面白かったですか? 面白かったですか? Was it interesting? 面白かったですか? I don't think I made a bullet point for this, but we're going to get into adjectives very quickly. We're kind of mixing everything up and learning it as it becomes appropriate to our line of discussion and just ordinary everyday conversation. So, 面白かったですか? Des is the present tense. Des, deshita, des. So we put the past tense into the adjective itself. 面白い, 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 面白い. So notice I'm spelling it in hiragana. 面白い. So hopefully you've learned enough katakana already. You certainly learned the principles of katakana that you can spell the word in romaji just if I go o, mo, ro, omo, omoros, omoshiroi. Okay, omoshiroi, 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 o-m, omo. O-M-O-S-H-I-R-O-I. So even for me, I'd rather see it in romaji, omoshiroi, because I have so many years of started learning. I was a late reader by the way. I didn't start to read till I was 6 years old. Most of my friends were learning to read at 3 and 4 and 5. My parents didn't believe in that. And I learned to be a very good reader very quickly because I felt left behind and I didn't want to be left behind. Okay, all of these asides. 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか? 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか? 面白かったですか? 面白かったですか? いやー、面白かったでした。でした。面白かったです。See, I make mistakes too. 面白かったです。面白かったです。Okay. So I seem to have developed a little cough and I don't have any water handy. Anyhow. 授業. Lesson is the English word lesson. 授業 means classroom activity. 授業. It means the course, actually. The entire course of instruction in Japanese. But we could say 前回の授業. Yeah, 前回の授業はどうでしたか? 前回の授業でどうでしたか? And of course we can say 教室. Now, 前回の教室はどうでしたか is a little strange actually. And I had a little bit of concern about adopting the name 日本語の教室. But it felt friendly to me. Maybe a little bit idiosyncratic. And it lets you know that this Japanese course is being taught by an American. But nonetheless, I think it will catch on. I like it. 日本語の教室. Okay. 前回の教室はどうでしたか? So really, only in the context of this class is this an appropriate term. Normal conversation, you wouldn't say 教室 in this context. This is our own inside information. Okay. 元気? お元気ですか? 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか？前回の授業はどうでしたか？前回の教室はどうでしたか？前回のレッスンはどうでしたか？前回の授業はどうでしたか？前回の教室はどうでしたか？よかった。よかった。That's another one I'm going to get into today. I've actually written that on a slide. It was good. よかった。よかったです。Okay. おはようございます we'll write later. Next slide. Okay. So, last time, we'll just go over this one more time really quickly. A, I, U, E, O, kaki, kuke, ko, sashi, su, se, so. Tachi, tsu, te, to, nani, nu, ne, no. Ha, hi, hu, he, ho. Mami, mu, me, mo. Ya, yu, yo, da, di, du, de, do. Wa, o, and n. Okay, I'm not going to walk you through every single hiragana. You've already been shown how to write the A, the E, the U, the A, and the O. Now we're reviewing them for visual impact. Today I'm going to introduce the Ka and the Ki. I'm not going to show you how to write the Ku, Ke, Ko. I think that's obvious. Sa, I will probably do that to emphasize don't join that bottom line to the second line. Same with ki. Shi, I don't think I need to cover. Su, I think you can learn on your own. Se, looks like you can learn it on your own. Notice the little hook on the se. There's little hooks that we need to be using all the time. The so I will go over. I have trouble writing the so myself. I didn't write it correctly. Ta, chi, tsu. The tsu is the one that's going to be written small letters. And you see it written below in romaji, TSU, with TU in parentheses. So this is really a great little chart. I'm going to have to find out where I found this thing. So the tsu is written with a small tsu when we write dessun. So dessun would be written with this R here. This R, I think I will teach you how to read. There's a few words, de and ne. De and ne are very similar. So some of these words that are easy to get confused. Ho and ha are somewhat similar. They're easy to get. Fu is difficult to write. Nu, like ne, has a little loop at the end. Nu is not a hiragana that's used all that frequently. Ne is used very frequently. And of course the famous no. Mo is another particle that I may introduce today. Mo means also. It depends. It just depends on when it feels right to introduce mo. Okay, we have wa, and sometimes mo can replace the wa. So I could say, 前回の教室は面白かったです。前回の教室は面白かったです。今回も面白いです。今回も面白い。今回 is this time. 前回 is last time. 今回 is this time. The same こん as in こんにちは、こんにちは。This day, こんにちは。今回の教室は面白いです。いっぱい勉強になってます。いっぱい勉強になってます。I'm learning a lot. 勉強になってます。勉強。Yeah, I think that's the way I'm going to say it. Native Japanese might say it slightly different. Also remember the A for ebi and the H for hebi. Hey, I think when I was doing the class and showing you the genshi, I looked that up. I've forgotten it again. Okay, the piece of paper that's used for submitting a document to a newspaper or even to your teacher that has 400 squares on it. Genshi, genko. 原稿用紙でしたね。原稿用紙、原稿用紙. Entirely made of kanji. 原稿用紙. That was the piece of paper. 原稿用紙. You could even Google that. I think it's a good idea to Google that. Genko with a line over it. Of course, Google will not make you put that line in there. And then yoshi also has a line over it. Genko yoshi. Genko yoshi. And it's used, genko means your original document. Yoshi is a piece of paper used for that. Okay. Dessun, 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 dessun. So dessun being a English word, a word of English origin, we should say. It's a Japanese word. It's very frequently used in Japanese, written in katakana. So we go down here and we see the de. We see the de. De, and then the chisai tsu, chisai, oki, chisai. Oki is big, oki. Chisai, chichai, chichai. Oki, oki. So this is a chichai tsu, a chisai, 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 chisai tsu. So, de, tsu, su. Let's look at the su. So different from the su. Sa, shi, su, 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 su. Suzume, suzume. A suzume is a sparrow. Suzume, suzume. Su, and then you see su written the second time. It's so small, and then it has the two dots on it, a 10-10. The two dots are called a 10-10. We'll be going through this again to make it from a su sound into a zu sound. It goes from su to zu, suzume, suzume. Dessun, dessun. And then the n, that's the last word. I can kind of see where the n derived from, but as you can see, it's very angular, unlike the n. Have you seen a word that looks like the n, another character that looks like the n? That n? When you write this, I'm actually going to show you a video of somebody writing. There's a lot of good videos on YouTube. You may find it yourself, but I think in the next lesson, I'm going to get out of this PowerPoint presentation and show you, number one, how to load a keyboard, and we may look at a YouTube video or two. And I also want to show you a Japanese dictionary, an online dictionary. So that's for the fourth class. If we ever get through the third class, I'm saying a lot more than I had planned to say. So we're now 20 minutes, 30 minutes into the class. We have another 30 minutes to go. じゃあ、じゃあ、じゃあ、じゃあ、じゃあ、じゃあ、じゃあね。じゃあ、じゃあ、じゃあ、じゃあ、どうでしたどこでしたかすずめすずめですん。What was this like? What was this like? What was this like? The hiragana lesson online will tell you to come halfway back up this first line. It's all one line actually, but in making it, it says to come halfway back up. You may have noticed in my handwriting that I didn't quite do that. It gets flattened out a little bit. But this is the same as in ebi. Ebi has the 10, just like u has the 10 with the and you come back halfway up. So this is similar to the n. Okay, so we're ready to move on to the next slide. Okay, so these were our 3 words that we learned that began with the letter a. We had owl, owl, Ow, ow, ah, oh, ow, ow. And we had ah, ooh, ow, 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 ow. To me, they end up sounding the same, but aoi, aoi. Remember the meaning of aoi? Ao is the noun, and aoi is the adjective. Remember? It meant blue. Aoi. Ao is a verb. It's our first verb. I really want you to start a verb list. This is a very frequently used verb. I said, mata aimashou. Mata aimashou. Mata aimashou. Let's meet again. Very commonly used. Aimashou. Aimashou. So aimashou is the stem form of ao. So everything has a dictionary form. And the dictionary form is used in everyday speech. It's frequently used, so it's just as important as the stem form of the verb. Because in normal everyday speech, you don't even conjugate the verbs. You just use the dictionary form. So it's very convenient. The dictionary form can also be used to modify a noun directly. This is the way that noun phrases are formed. Words that modify nouns, whole phrases that modify a noun. So noun phrases are quite easy in Japanese. They're more difficult in English. So a noun phrase would be taught more later in an advanced English class. I think we can learn noun phrases early in Japanese. Okay, and then we have these three words. Ao, ao, I. Okay, and if you put a e onto the ao, it becomes an adjective. So we have this aoi krip, 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 aoi krip, krip, aoi krip, krip. I meant to look this up in the dictionary to see if there was a Japanese word. I know that clip, I worked in the auto industry, as I told you. We use the word clip all the time, not for a clothespin. There could be a very specific term for a clothespin. That's why maybe when we're doing our dictionary work, we can look this up together. Okay. So that's aoi krip. これは青いペン、青い、赤いペンです。赤いペン。So this is 青い is blue, 赤い is red. So you want to start a color list as well. You now know 青い and 赤い. And by now you can write it in romaji, 赤い, akai. And today we're going to learn ka, akai. So, これは赤いペンです。これは、青いクリップです。青いクリップ、赤いペン、and 黄色いマーカーなんです。黄色い、黄色、黄色。黄色 is the word yellow, and 黄色い is the adjective, an e adjective. So, only a few of the colors are e adjectives. Colors are quite confusing in Japanese. Everything's confusing in Japanese, isn't it? But once you memorize it, it's not a problem. So I'll give you a color chart in the next few lessons as well. So much to do, so much to do. I'm modeling this class on my 30-hour class that I taught at the university. I don't think I ever got through all of the materials. So we didn't meet all 30 hours either, but anyway, that's another story. Okay, I must. So this is called the mas form of the verb. It's the polite form. It's not the extremely polite form. It's the moderate level of speaking. It's the level that you and I should use as foreigners until we develop strong friendships with somebody. And then we'll just find ourselves speaking with the plain form automatically without even realizing it. But in the beginning, when we're getting to know somebody, we should use mas, 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 mas. I must, I must. Let's see, imas. We're going to do e in just a second. Imas. Aimas is to meet. We meet every day. Mainichi aimasu. Doko de aimasu ka? Gakko de aimasu. Machi no naka ni aimasu. Mainichi aimasu. Aimasu. Aimasen. This is the negative of aimasu. Aimasen. We don't meet. Okay? Aimasen. The mas form is also used to represent the future. So I can say, yoku, tomodachi is friend, yoku aimasu. Tomodachi ga yoku aimasu. Tomodachi ga yoku aimasu. Tomodachi yoku aimasu. Yoku aimasu. I often meet my friend. Mainichi aimasu. Mainichi aimasu. Kyou wa machi ni ikimasu. Kyou wa machi ni ikimasu. Ikimasu. I'm going into town. Kyou wa machi ni ikimasu. Tomodachi wa aimasen. Kyou wa aimasen. I'm not going to meet my friend today. Aimasen. Aimashita. Kino tomodachi o aimashita. Kino tomodachi ni aimashita. I have a tendency to say o, which is a particle I'm going to introduce to you. I think I may have already introduced it, to represent an object. But this is really tomodachi ni aimasen. I can't correct that mistake. I've been speaking Japanese incorrectly for 20 years. Tomodachi ni aimashita. Tomodachi ni aimashita. Kino tomodachi ni aimashita. Tomodachi ga aimashita. I'm going to have to review this one more time with my Japanese friends. Okay. You can't teach an old dog new tricks, that's for sure. Aimashita. Mas, masen, mashita is past tense. And then the negative past tense is masen deshita. Aimasen deshita. I didn't meet my friend in town yesterday. Tomodachi. Tomodachi. Aimasen deshita. Tomodachi wa aimasen deshita. Wa is a nice cover word if you don't know the particle. Tomodachi ni aimasen deshita. Tomodachi ni aimasen deshita. Tomodachi o aimasen deshita. Tomodachi o aimasen deshita is wrong. It feels like an object to me. Okay, it's an object in English. I met my friend. Tomodachi ni. So we need to be careful not to let our own language interfere with our learning of a foreign language. Tomodachi ni aimashita. Tomodachi ni aimasen deshita. Aimasen deshita. Okay. So this mas form, the negative of the past, is quite a lengthy mouthful, isn't it? Okay. Aimashou. Mata aimashou. So these are the 5 mas forms. And the present tense, which can also be the future tense. I think some grammar books call it the non-past tense. And then the past tense. So they say that Japanese only has 2 tenses. We have to look up the definition of tense, but mashou is probably a mood. Let's meet. Aimashou. Aimashou. Okay. Once again, we have the E words. We have E, you, and I've written E twice. Aha, why did I write E twice? Because of the verbs here. Okay. Remember, I said E is an adjective. It's an E adjective, which means good. And in the past tense, it's よかった。昨日のレッスンはどうでしたか？前回、not 昨日。I actually recorded it yesterday. 前回のレッスンはどうでしたか？どうでしたか？よかった。よかったです。よかったです。素晴らしかったです。大変面白かったでした。面白かったでした。I have that tendency to say でした。The past tense is in the adjective itself. So よかった。So E is only used for the present tense of the adjective. We almost never say yoi, but you could say yoi. You're being very bookish if you use the word yoi. But for the rest of the usages of this word E, it's you might say yoi mono. これは良いものです。This is a good item, 良いもの. But I mono, yeah, because it sounds almost like, see, we also need to distinguish between the verb 言います. The verb you means to say, right? You. And here are our two verbs that we know so far. Okay, you. So, 言います、言いません、言いました、言いませんでした、言いましょう。日本語で言いましょう。日本語で言いましょう。日本語で。There's another particle, the particle de. If you're starting a particle list, you can add de. De means it's the instrumental case, the third case in Sanskrit. It's the thing you do something with. So, 手で食べます。インド人は手で食べます。日本人は箸で食べます。箸で食べます。箸で食べます。日本人は箸で食べます。これは箸です。箸。これは箸です。違う先生。箸ではない。箸ではありません。These aren't 箸。それはペンです。ペン2本。Okay, pen. Okay, we're going to go to do this one. I like this one. Using pens to make chopsticks. Okay. じゃあ。日本語で using 手で箸で using a pen. I created some chopsticks. The Indians, many Indians eat using their hands. Most Japanese eat using chopsticks. When they're eating Western food, フォークとスプーンで食べます。食べます。会います。言います。ます。Now I'm saying it slowly, so I emphasize the masu. I say the su fairly strongly. But in day-to-day conversation, the u often gets dropped. I must. Okay, I must. Okay. 食べます. We eat using chopsticks. 箸で食べます. 箸で食べます. 日本語で言いましょう. Let's use Japanese. Let's say it using Japanese. 日本語で言いましょう。日本語で言いましょう。So, you have a number of particles already under your belt. Ni, it means in. 友達に会いました. Okay. But if it's not on the slideshow, it's too early for you to learn it. I'm just planting the seed. I like to plant seeds early on. Okay. Colors, we've already learned aoi and akai and kiro. Kiro is something that I saw a yellow pen on my desk, so I thought, okay, I'll introduce Kido. I don't have a slide developed for it yet. Colors. Notice that I've used the British spelling for colors. I'm an American, but I'm deferring to the fact that this material is destined towards the Indian audience. Colors. Aoi, akai, akai. So the ka is a new one. I'm sure you've seen it before. I believe the next slide has the ka. Oh no, the next slide has, remember last time I started to introduce yenimas. We saw a nice little Japanese couple in their home, and this man was covered up by my picture, so I'm showing him again today, and he's saying yeah, yeah. So we have yeah. The couple is in a yeah with one I and then an a, yeah, yeah ni imasu. I think I have this written. I don't have it written here. I think I have it written later. Let's see. So he's saying yeah. He's saying yeah very strongly. He's got to be saying something stronger than yeah. He's saying yada, yada. Means no way, yada, ya, ya. Ya, yada, 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 dame, 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 tondemo nai, tondemo nai. You've got to be kidding. You've got to be kidding. Okay, I wish he would stop nodding his head. We'll get him to stop. Ah, there we go. Yeah, 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 as opposed to yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeni imasu. Yeni imasu. Imas means they are. They are in their home. Yeni imasu. Utsukushi ie desu. Utsukushi ie desu. Rippana ie desu. Yoi ie desu. I was starting to say that sometimes yoi gets used because it might be confused with e for the imasu. But I think e it is. And e, there's a lot, there's 4 e's in a row if you said e, yeah? E desu, yoi desu. Sono ie wa i desu ne. Sono ie wa rippa nan desu ne. Rippa. Fantastic. Beautiful. Huge. Rippa. Okay. Ye and e. Oh, okay, we can go on to the ka. Remember? Aoi, akai, written with a ka. Okay, I don't need to show you how it's written. I had the boxes prepared earlier. I didn't do the little arrows. You've got I'll use my pen function. Okay, you've got an arrow coming. Oh, I think I'll use my pen function. Okay, so you've got an arrow coming down this way for your first stroke. I'm getting better at the pen. Okay. And then you've got this stroke here with a little hook on it. And I learned that a hook is called a hane. Hane. It's like a wing, actually. Hane, like the wings of a verb. The airport in Tokyo is Haneda. Haneda. A little hane, a little thing that's flying off there. Hane. It could mean something else, but and then let's see. I wanted to count them. Ichi, ni, and finally san. Ichi, ni, san. Whoop, 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 whoop. Okay, ichi, ni, san. And this is a 10. It's a teardrop 10. We see sometimes the 10 will have a little thing flying outside of it. This is to indicate that the brush. So when these things are proportioned, they should be proportioned. So if this was written really quickly, this might, the guy could just fly over here and you could get it like that. So you might see even the trace of a pen going further. I doubt it. That's not very common. But in some words, that's why stroke order is so important. Okay. There's so many things I want to teach you at once that I tend to forget what I was going to say next. This ka is written in katakana without the ten, without the dot, and it's much more angular when it's written in katakana. The other thing you might notice is that the 10 takes up nearly half of that square. You have the ka on the left side of the square. So the 10 is important. It should be nice and big when you're handwriting it. And it really makes a part of the composition of your character. We're not going to get very far today. I can see that now. Let's see. Okay. On to the next thing. Here we have our ye with the little couple sitting in a Japanese-style room. Okay. And here we have our famous nodding friend. This is the shujin. This is the shujin, or the husband, shujin. This is the okusan, okusan, or the wife, shujin, and okusan. And this is the musuko-san, the son, musuko, musuko. Musuko, of course, is written in kanji, but I also want to just get you used to seeing how the romaji should look. Mu, su, ko. So you can look up in your hiragana chart. Learn to write this. Now is the time to learn to write it, even though the mu is very difficult. I will definitely show you the mu and how to write it. But start learning it now. You can correct it. You're not going to develop a habit in this first patch of time. You develop the habits over time. So if you're writing it wrong now, you can correct it later. Musuko-san, shujin. Shujin can be go-shujin. If you're talking about somebody else's husband, go-shujin wa genki desu ka? Go-shujin wa genki desu ka? Go-shujin wa dou desu ka? Genki desu ka? How's your husband? Shujin wa dou desu ka? Genki desu ka? There's other words. Dana-san is another word, probably a little more polite than shujin, or go-shujin. You can make shujin a little more polite by putting on the honorific, go-shujin. Go-shujin wa genki desu ka? Daijoubu desu ka? Hai, go-shujin. Okusan. Okusan is the woman who's in the back. Oku means at the end, in the back. Nani-nani no oku. その奥、部屋の奥に、これは部屋です。Where's my Where's my mouse? Oh, that's right. It's still a marker. We don't want it to be a marker anymore. We turn that off. Oh, I think I can do that. There it is. Okay. This is a heya. 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 Heya no oku ni monoire ga aru. I forget how to say closet. Could be a monoire. It could be the door to the room going out into the hall. It's a sliding door. So you take that little thing and you pull it back and it slides behind the other panel. They're very flimsy panels. Japanese rooms are not designed for privacy, or for heavy privacy. Of course, you got some privacy if you want to undress, but if you're going to try to keep noise away, forget it. Okay, so this also has a, I didn't look up my room terms. We're going to definitely look at this slide again. Tokonoma, I think it's called. Tokonoma, with a nice drawing in it, and a bonsai plant, bonsai plant. And tatami. These are tatamis. So the traditional Japanese room looks like this, with a traditionally dressed Japanese couple. The shujin, the okusan, and the musuko-san. And of course the musuko-san is a modern boy. It looks like he's wearing a rugby shirt or something like that. Okay, he's got an earring on his ear. He's sitting in a modern chair. He's got a terrible look on his face. What's the world coming to? Today's youth. Okay, so this is a washitsu. This room is a washitsu. It's a Japanese style room. We have kyoshitsu here, kyoshitsu. This is washitsu. Wa is a term that it's kind of a nickname for Japan. It refers to Japan. So we have washoku is Japanese food. We have washi is Japanese paper. We have wagyu is, I think maybe, of course, no, you guys aren't big beef eaters, are you? Wagyu is the Japanese style of beef, also known as Kobe beef in the West. Beef that's been massaged and fed beer and very tender cut of meat. Wagyu. Washitsu. Washitsu. So wa is very commonly used to refer to Japan. The term literally means peaceful. Washitsu. This is a washitsu. We could also, I said it was a heya. So the heya is written like this. It's also used the Chinese character, same Chinese character, but this time it has the Japanese reading. Heya. I don't like to write this word in kanji. It's much easier to write with a he and a ya, but if you use your word processor, this is what comes up. And bu means a portion of the house or whatever. But it's kyoshitsu, washitsu, there's other kyoshitsu, there's many different, I already said kyoshitsu, many other shitsus. Okay. And then we could also call this a tatami beya. Tatami beya. Tatami, 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 tatami beya. The tatami is this flooring. It's probably about 3 centimeters thick, I believe. It has a nice quality of a grass covering it. It's filled with hay, and it sometimes gets insects in it. So it has to be changed every few years. It tends to rot. It's very expensive. Fewer and fewer tatami rooms in Japan. But it's a beautiful tradition. Still quite a few when I lived there, so we'll see how. You can go there and find out for yourself. It is getting to be time. Once again, I've gone too slowly. Today I wanted to do these. We'll just have to do it next time. You can see that you have some interesting material ahead of you. I didn't get to it. We got some flags here. All of this for teaching you how to say a. Okay, so the word a. So we're going very slowly, and we'll get there eventually. We have the e adjectives. We have the ki, ka, ki, ku, ke, ko. And then we have the honorifics. This is what I thought I would get to today. I think we have a whole other lesson ahead of us. And then we will go to teaching you how to use the keyboard. We'll just go slowly but surely. Yukkuri, yukkuri, yukkuri susumimashou. Yukkuri susumimashou. Mashou is a mood. It means let's. Yukkuri. Yukkuri is an adjective. It's not an e adjective, it's a na adjective. It's a different type of adjective. It does not conjugate. You have to use the past tense of the verb with yukkuri. Yukkuri. You could probably, yukkuri is sometimes spelled with 1 K and sometimes spelled with 2 Ks. If I want to emphasize the slowness, I'm going to say yukkuri. 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 Maybe it's always written with 2 Ks. I'm going to have to take a look at that too. Okay, so once again, you're keeping a word list. Pretty soon you'll be able to do this on an Excel spreadsheet. Nihongo, kyosutsu, Nihonjin, jin. We learned, I think, Nihonjin. Nihongo, Nihonjin, Kon ni wa, Ohayo gozaimasu. I taught you that today. Ohayo gozaimasu. Ao, aoi, aka, akai, ao. And I said that you could sort by the part of the speech. You may also want to sort by category. So, and then another column that I thought that you should put on here is a priority column. Is it a priority 1 word, a priority 2 word, a priority 6 word, so that when you're doing a sorting, you can only sort your high priority words. And then words that you think you know for sure, you might assign a 6 to. Words that you just don't care about at the time being, you could assign a 99 to it. So once again, you could have another column on your Excel sheet. Okay? And we have ao, aimasu, yoi, I forgot to put yokatta, you, imasu, ye, aoi. So we've done all this today, and next time I'll have another word list for you. The other thing is you can be taking screenshots. You have a little print screen button on your computers. If you're using a full-scale laptop or a desktop, just do a print screen. And then that saves you a little bit of time okay, so you can print this screen as well. So anytime I dwell a long time on a screen, these screens would probably be excellent print screens. You could even do it for the next lesson. We're doing it early. You could do a print screen for this. Okay. So, mata? Do I want to? Okay. Go back to the beginning. Minasan, sayonara, sayonara. 日本語の教室はこれで終わりましょう。また会いましょう。じゃあ、バイバイ。